So thank you for joining us for this new webinar by Opti Digital. We're very happy to be here today with you to share some tips and A/B testing results of proven that have proved to be working very well for different publishers. It's important because we see summer is coming and Q3 doesn't display the best CPMs usually. So let's share those tips to improve CPMs on display and video. Just to introduce ourselves. So my name is Magali Quintelrem. I am the co-founder and CEO of Opti Digital.
Yeah, my name's Ollie. I'm the CRO of Opti Digital, and we're very glad that everybody's joined us today, and we hope to have some good, thought-inspiring conversation, and hopefully stimulate a few strategies in your guys' head, and hopefully we touch upon some points which are relevant to you.
Mm-hmm. If you have any questions, you may just drop them in the chat. We'll cover them at the end of this webinar. I don't know how to move. Yes. So just one slide about Opti. It's a company that started 6 years ago out of France. And what we are specialized on is developing technology for media publishers to improve their ad revenue. We have different technologies. One wrapper, which is called All-in-One because it embeds a lot of features that is available as a managed technology, but is also now available as a self-service one. So you are able to keep the full control on your ad inventory. Opti Yield, which is a technology of dynamic price flooring to actually find out and send the best price floor to maximize your yield, which is available as a standalone product. And Opti Engage, which is a very original ad format, which is inspired from social media and displaying ads in a carousel and available as a bid adapter. Today, Opti Digital is working with about 5,000 domains across the globe, mainly North America, the UK, and Europe. And these technologies are brought to you by a team of about 30 people. So here are a few publishers we're working with. Some of them are large and use some of our technologies. Some of them are a bit smaller with less audience and use other technologies. So we are going to suggest what is the best technology for you. Now, let's look at the most recent figures. So Groupe M has very recently published in June what is going to be the global advertising growth in 2024. It depends on the regions, obviously. What we are seeing is a growth from 4 to 9%. The problem is that it doesn't mean that your revenue as a media publisher taken individually is going to grow by this much. What we are going to do with this webinar is actually to give you some tips. So we make sure that you are going to take a slice of this growth because, of course, you have a lot of supply, a lot of websites along all over the world, and a lot of different supports with social platforms and so on. So what can we do to actually tackle those challenges? Ollie?
Yeah, so look, some of you guys will be well aware of what's happening in the marketplace and the ecosystem. Some of you guys that might be on the webinar today might be slightly aware of them. Some of you might be completely unaware of them, but, you know, definitely for sure, a lot of you guys that are in the room might have experienced the loss of organic traffic due to recent Google algorithms. They're churning them out a dime a dozen at the moment. We're all aware of the migration of traffic to social networks and how that's affecting organic traffic and inventory. we've all been talking about for the last couple of years about, privacy and deprecation of third-party cookie. Some of us who are in deep conversations around SPO, the complexity of the supply chain, and MFA. How does that directly or indirectly affect you? Ultimately, it does affect us all in one way as genuine publishers, because MFA is taking away CPMs and revenue and spend from genuine sites. And of course, recently, new video guidelines with regards to Google and YouTube, that could be affecting you whether or not you have display or video. Yeah.
Thanks, Oli. So, how to face Q3 and Q4 more serenely. So we are going to go through three good practices that we believe are going to make a big difference. The first thing is how we can protect the inventory value, how we can optimize the web performance, because it is also your responsibility as an advertising expert. It's not only the SEO's responsibilities, and how we can streamline the ad stack and have a deeper analysis of what's going on the site to improve it. So we know that advertisers have a different price in mind per impression. The question is, how can we maximize the price that they are willing to pay you specifically? And one of the elements that they are going to take into account is the quality of the ads. So there is a direct relationship between the level of viewability, the viewability rate, and the demand that we receive as a publisher. The higher the viewability, the higher the demand. Okay, so we must make sure that we are reaching a minimum level of viewability rate from 70% and above. That would be great to actually protect all the value that of our inventory. So there are different things that we may do to improve the viewability or to protect it. The first thing is to make sure that you have placements, ad units that are well distributed on the page. An error would be to have a lot of ads at the top on mobile, which is affecting the user experience, and then no ads at the bottom. What you'd rather have a technology for automatically placing ads and distributing them harmoniously along the content, every screen or every 2 paragraphs. So you make sure that the ads are next to a content, and so therefore when the user is reading this content, consuming it, they are seeing the ads. Okay. Another element that may be very interesting is to actually use the ad refresh in order to improve your viewability. If you do an in-view ad refresh only when the ad is in view in the active screen, then the refreshed impression actually has a higher viewability than the first one. Ad formats are extremely important. When we talk about mobile, it may be a sticky ad unit at the top or at the bottom. It may be an interstitial that have obviously a high viewability and a high CTR. It may be also a temporarily anchored ad unit, for example, at the top of your screen, that even if the end user is scrolling down, the ad remains visible for a few seconds. On desktop, it may be just making sure that your sidebar ad units are being anchored while the end user is scrolling down. And also making sure that you are implementing lazy loading and not basic lazy loading, like, yes, I've done lazy loading, it's fine.
Yeah, I agree. I 100% agree with that, these comments that you're making. I think when we're talking to publishers in the marketplace, and when you even approach the subject of lazy loading, hands up in the audience, 30 to 40% of the people will turn around and say, hey, yeah, we tried lazy loading and, we lost revenue. It's such a common thing to hear. And you say, well, what exactly did you do? And so, we just turned it on, and whatever the, the standard lazy loading was. And people don't really A/B test it and figure out what the actual correct points are for lazy loading, or look at the site layout of the page and actually figure out what needs to be done in order to get optimal revenues. And the same is, as you said, with regards to ad units and their placements, and also for refresh. People just press a button and they think it works, it doesn't work, and that's the end of it, and they just let it go.
Mm-hmm. So here we believe that it's very important to be able to actually set up different settings per page, per ad unit, per device, to make sure that you find the right settings. So we wanted to share here a case study. It was a publisher which used to have lazy loading at 600 pixels, meaning that we would load the ad only when it is coming closer than 600 pixels below the fold. So that would be quite lazy in terms of loading, because we would really wait until the very last moment to display the ad. So our assumption was, what if we actually load it a bit earlier with 900 pixels? And what happened is that we did an A/B testing. So our A/B testing technology enables to give to this test group the percentage of traffic we want. Maybe 20%, maybe 50%, we don't care. And on this test group, what we did was the 900 pixels lazy load. And quite predictably, the number of impressions have increased by 5.15%, which is quite a lot. We know that the viewability would be impacted and has been impacted because, of course, it means that we load the ad faster, but not all the end users are going to scroll down. So we have lost a little bit of viewability. It's not a big deal because we are still above those 70% that we were talking about. And overall, it is not a minor change. It's like plus 6% revenue. There are not so many things that you may do easily that are going to bring you an uplift of 6%. Yeah. So this has been done on a few ad units on mobile, but if you do it across the board, on all your devices, all your ad units, and you are able to A/B test and find what is the best lazy loading settings, that's a lot of revenue.
Yeah, 100% agreed.
However, viewability, it's still, I believe, the first metric that most of the buyers are using today to buy, especially when they do branding campaigns. They are going to target high viewable placements. Low funnel buyers like retargeters, they may be buying more based on the CTR, but viewability remains like the top metric that is being looked at by buyers. However, there is an emerging trend, which is more talking about attention. So we are going to release a little poll here on the screen on which you can vote. And you can tell us whether it's you have heard about viewability already or not. So which metrics, aside the RPM, do you use to evaluate the effectiveness of your ad strategy? Do you look at the viewability at all? Do you look at the time in view? Do you look at attention, at other attention metrics? So feel free to submit your vote now on the screen. Okay, I'm going to stop now. Are we able to display the results of the poll? No, we're not. But we do have them right on our side. Yeah. So the results of the poll are that most of you still work on viewability. So you're really paying attention to this. A few are looking at attention and other attention metrics and at the time in view. So that's very interesting because we believe that the time in view is going to become a bit like what is viewability today. So it's an ongoing trend. And we have developed a technology that is really predicting the time in view to bring value to publishers.
Yeah. So going back to that poll, there are lots of people talking about various types of attention metrics, various people doing trainings on it, various councils trying to address it. But the one thing that we believe, and we're trying to stay as ahead of the curve as possible when it comes to our tech, is that first crossover point is time in view. And of course, Opti Engage, which is our demand, our pre-bid demand, is a great way to actually work on that, provided that you're doing optimizations in that way, and actually allows us to have a very, very powerful demand source for you guys in order to increase your CPMs. What we are doing is measuring the level of engagement by time in view. And of course, we have a ad format, which, as you can see, has its inspiration from social platforms, social media platforms. And what we can see is we have an actual product that has a high level of engagement with its audience. We see it actually has an attention metric of, shall we say, 22 to 25 seconds. People are nicely engaged, so time in view. And with that in mind, we were able to get very, very high CPMs from a very, very tailored bid that we send upstream to our DSPs and our demand, and we were able to pay out incremental revenues of 7 to 10%. So that is with SPO also in mind. So Engage is actually a very, very nice way to increase your revenues, provided that you have your page nicely set up, and we can use that to our advantage.
Thank you. So there is something else that you actually may do to make sure that you attract investments, is providing advertisers with addressability capabilities. We know that third-party cookies are going to be deprecated sometime soon. Would it be early 2025 or later? We have to get prepared. So there are a few information that you may send in the bid requests to optimize your yield, to optimize your revenue from the open auction. One of them is seller-defined audience, which has been proposed by the IAB Tech Lab, which is basically the publisher declaring what is the context of the page and using the IAB taxonomy. You may also pass, of course, some first-party data. You may also pass IDs. So here you may pass on hashed emails converted into RAMP IDs. You may pass on probabilistic IDs to enable the frequency capping. Something else also is a global placement ID, GPID. For instance, the Trade Desk said that they would only buy if they have this information in the bid request. This global placement ID is basically attributing an ID which is unique across all the paths, so the Trade Desk can deduplicate, and this is going to save them a lot of money. And eventually, you may also pass price floors. And price floors, not any. I mean, when you set up price floors in Google Ad Managers, the only one who's seeing the floor is Google itself, right? So there are technologies on the market. We are offering one, which is predicting the level of floor that is really going to maximize your yield according to multiple signals. Would it be the domain, the placement, the device used by the end user, the weekday, the hour, what time is it? Are we in the morning or in the afternoon? There is more demand in the morning than in the afternoon. According to the refresh also, is it a first impression or a refreshed one? According to the consent, the browser, according to multiple signals.
Yeah, this is really important, Magali, what you're talking about here. So as Magali mentioned, there are people that may try to provide manipulation of price floors, but one thing that's really important is making sure that the methodology is robust and that you have the ability to affect not just GAM, but also Prebid and Amazon and the players that are really going to provide you with the high CPMs and the supply. And as Magali mentioned, we're not just looking at a couple of signals, we look at over 30 plus signals. And as you can see on the schema, that could be millions of types of segments or contexts. And we're able to place a monetary value on that to see how strong those signals are. And by that, we're able then to put in price floors in place and do it in a manner that can actually reflect all the various parts that would actually provide you with revenue, whether it would be pre-bid, A9 or AdX. So 100% agree with you on this point as well, that, price floors, there might be a few people that are trying to do it, but to pick a technology that actually has the robustness and the methodology to actually work is very important.
Mm-hmm. Yep, indeed. And send it to all the partners, all the bidding partners is going to make the auctions more fair as well. So here is a case study we wanted to share with you. So it's a women's magazine with about 60 million page views per month. And the way we are running floors is always maintaining like a permanent A/B test. So we have a control group where the UPRs, the Unified Pricing Rules of the publisher, are applied. And you can see the results without floors. So what would mean without floors is that with the publisher's floors, but without the dynamic floors. And their RPM is about 66 cents. So how much revenue they manage to pull out of 1,000 requests. And when we actually send dynamic floors on the other group, we are seeing an increase in terms of eCPM. So for every impression sold, a quite nice increase in terms of RPM, ad request eCPM, which is almost 10%, so 9% here, from 66 to 72 cents. And then what we can see is that there is a side effect of floors, because sometimes on some segments, when we are sending a floor, when we are sending a floors which are a bit higher than usual, we may generate some unfilled. It's not a big deal, because in the end, we have already created value and we have already earned 9% more for our real estate. However, we could consider this actually as an opportunity, because we may run a second auction to recover part of this unfilled and to pull even more value from this unfilled. So second topic here, we wanted to talk about the web performance. We believe this is very key to protect your media business in 2024, to actually make sure that you would use a very light ad stack, the lightest as possible, to meet Google standards. So the Google algorithms are not completely deciphered, but we know that there are about 200 ranking factors. And among them, there are the core web vitals, the page speed. So what we wanted to check here today with you is how you're seeing your organic traffic recently. So here is a little poll that you may answer on the screen now. Have you recently seen an important drop in your organic traffic in the recent months? So you may just answer yes or no.
Yeah, I think this is going to be interesting. I think the people that we are talking to, like I said previously, from tier 1 publishers down to the smaller boutique publishers, there seems to be a fair amount that have been affected by the Google algorithms. Unfortunately, in a negative manner.
Okay, so I'm going to analyze the results. Okay, 75% of you guys have seen a drop in organic traffic recently, and whatever recently means. So we believe that Google is actually paying more attention to user experience, and we all have a responsibility here as advertising experts. So what can we do to actually make sure that we don't affect the SEO? we believe that it's important, first of all, to understand what is the weight of a standard stack. So the standard stack usually is like this. For all tier 1, tier 2 publishers, we all have a content management platform, a wrapper, which is calling Amazon and Prebid. All our partners are doing cookie synchronizations, IDs synchronizations to make sure that also we have SSP analytics. So there are a lot of calls here, about 150 to 200 ad calls. Then Google publisher tags or your other ad server. And then the weight of printing the creative on screen. So if you don't optimize it, it's about a script of 400 kilobytes. And sometimes this adds up to the weight of the page. And sometimes the page weighs already 400 kilobytes. So you are doubling the weight by adding your advertising stack.
Yeah.
So without optimization, you're here. What we've done at Opti Digital is actually trying to reduce this weight. So overall, taking into consideration the CMP, the wrapper, Google Ad Manager, we go down to 300 kilobytes, and more importantly, only 15 ad calls. And this is very optimized. This is going to make it much lighter and much faster to load. So the weight of the stack, if you don't do anything and you have a standard stack, as I mentioned, that may be coming from any partner today, on a mobile device in 3G, you may experience an average loading time of 20 seconds. So I believe that you can imagine the impact it has on the viewability and therefore on the demand that we receive. And it has also an impact on the core web vitals. So this is going to affect your SEO. You may lose traffic, and the advertising team is going to be responsible for this.
Yeah.
So here is a little case study that we wanted to share with you. This is a media publisher which used to use another partner technology, and their performance was quite low on mobile. So they actually experienced a script with Opti Digital, which is twice faster, loading the ads twice faster. It has a positive impact on the web performance. It also has a positive impact on the viewability because the ads are loading much faster. We get a plus 9% viewability rate. And eventually, it has a 16% revenue growth impact for this website. And
That's phenomenal. That's phenomenal stuff, especially when you think about if you can make your page speeds quicker, which is ultimately what Google is measuring us all on, that the actual core web vitals, we see them with clients that go live with this new script, go from either orange to green or from red to green overnight. So the actual impact and the way that it's picked up by Google is very, very quick. And just to speed up the page by having a lighter page in general, that is truly low-hanging fruit to get a 16% increase in revenues.
Yeah, and this is a direct impact, but it also has a long-term one, because if your audience is protected, then you are going to keep growing and improve your revenue overall. And finally, point three, so wanted to suggest to streamline your ad stack and to make sure that you have the right data to do the right analysis and to make the right decisions. So let's go over it. In our analytics, we are providing a very deep insights that are crossing data from the audience with data from the revenue. And this is very key, because it's enabling you to understand where your revenue is coming from. So in this example, we may see the revenue coming from open auctions after first auction, right? So in green is the header bidding. Then the percentage of or the part of your inventory which is monetized by direct campaigns. A second auction, here we have a backfill, right? We have a second chance in orange, and eventually in dark gray, the part of your inventory which remains unfilled. And this data, you may have it per country, depending on where the user is connecting from, but you may also have it per consent. If we are in accept all, we probably have more campaigns than when we are in reject all, right? So this analytics dashboard, here we've chosen to display this on screen, but we can do a demo. It's a very useful tool that you may get and to test for free with just adding one tag on the site. And it's also displaying this data in live. And you may have it globally, but you may also have it per URL. So here, this live analytics dashboard is showing you what are the top articles that have been published, what is the traffic source, and also to try to identify which contents are making their way on Google Discover. So it is sometimes difficult to try to understand how Google Discover algorithm works, but thanks to this, you may be able to actually filter out only the traffic from Google Discover and analyze if you find some common patterns across all those URLs to be able to see how many articles are actually appearing on Discover. And something that you may not see in your screen, because it's written very small, is that we have also information about the ad density, meaning we know how many words are being currently used on every article and how many ads are displayed on the screen. And so on the last one, you may see it, we have about 570 words and a bit less than 4 ads on that page. That's why it's appearing in light green, because it's not the perfect setup. For example, if you look at the other articles which are above, you have actually on average more than 5 ads, 550, for a similar number of words, or actually less. So what's important in this kind of insights is to make sure that you have less ads on that page because you wanted to. It may be intentional because you have another monetization source like affiliation, or because it is a sponsored article and you want to protect your advertiser on that page. But it may also be not intentional. And so thanks to this dashboard, you are going to identify and troubleshoot any ad layout issue much faster.
Yeah.
Right? Okay, then about streamlining your ad inventory, we wanted to share a case study here. So it's another A/B test that we run. On the left side, you may see that on the control group, we had about 9 bid adapters connected on pre-bid. And what we wanted to check is what happens if we remove the bidders that are participating the least on pre-bid. So we actually went down from 9 bidders to 6 bidders on the test group. And what we're observing here is an interesting, very steady result. Like there is no loss of revenue. Actually, there is a little uplift. It's interesting to notice that what we are seeing in these graphs here is out of 100 winning bids that are received by Google Ad Manager, which was the winning bid coming from? If it was coming from the Opti Digital Bid Adapter, from Teads, from Criteo, from any other partner. What we want to make sure here is that the part in blue, where we are not receiving any kind of bid from pre-bid, And when Google Ad Exchange would be resolving the auction alone in the end, together with Open Bidding and Amazon, we want to make sure that this blue part is the smallest as possible. So between the left side and the right side, we can see that there is a similar pressure done by Prebid to actually bring a high level of demand. And something that is important also to notice is that you may also have some resellers here. Your best bidders are not necessarily the direct ones only. So when we are thinking about protecting our audience from SPO, making sure that our inventory is not throttled by SSPs and DSPs, we must make sure that we are keeping the best partners for us. And they are not necessarily direct. Opti-Digital or Rich Audience are actually intermediates that are preparing the inventory, chewing it, making sure that they are doing strong bid traffic shaping, so that they are sending only a few ad requests to their partners who are really likely to be bidding. So you may have, in the end, a selection of direct and resellers, as long as they are the ones that are bringing you the highest revenue.
Yeah, I think that's a really interesting point. I think a lot of people have this very, very pure view of SPO, and the least number of people in the ads.txt is the way forward. But it's really understanding who is actually doing SPO, who is actually doing the traffic shaping, the bid throttling, and passing a unique bid, so to say, upstream. I think that's a very important thing, and I think people should investigate that thoroughly and understand that thoroughly before making basic conclusions.
Yep. So to conclude, what we have talked about here is how we can improve our bid requests by passing on some attributes, some addressability capabilities, and also by improving the quality of the ads, improving the viewability and the time in view. Second of all, making sure that we are using the optimal flow and sending it to all the bidding partners. So doing it really at the session level, at the ad request level, as much as possible with dynamic price flowing tech. Protecting your web performance is key. If all the publishers are starting to use a very light ad stack as ours, as our wrapper, this is going to become the reference, the benchmark, and these websites are going to make their way up in the Google ranking. So make sure that you work hand in hand with the product team, with the SEO specialists, to make sure that you are bringing a very light ad stack. And also, finally, get very detailed insights about your audience and about your monetization. Make sure that you know where the revenue is coming from in order to streamline your ad stack and to have the most optimized settings for your ad stack. So during this presentation, we've been mentioning from time to time some of the technologies that we are offering at Opti-Digital. Most of them are managed. Some of them may be also available in self-service. If you have the resources, if you have the time to keep the control on your inventory on a daily basis, we would be very happy to answer any question and go further in one product or another. Here are our contact details. Just let us know if you want to organize a little call, and we can do also a demo. We would be happy to.
Yeah, we're here to also to talk to publishers to understand what their successes and failures are, and just to talk and to see how we can offer any good advice or ways of working together. So please do reach out to us. Follow us on LinkedIn, and we look forward to hearing from you.